So we're finally here. We're live. What I wanted us to do today was walk through the app, right, and understand what Wisest is. Like, what is it that people are exactly signing up for? How does it work? What are some of the best practices? And just show it to the world, basically. And make sure that everybody has a feel for how it works and what they can expect going forward.
Of course, that sounds outstanding, Laz. And I have a wonderful little test staging environment for us to walk through, for you to see the app in action, for you
Okay.
to see some of our test accounts, and you'll have the opportunity to see all the typical functionality that you have access to as an investor on the Wisest platform. So we'll
Excellent.
review all of the key features, as well as the trading part of the application, the
Okay.
social and networking features, and some additional bells and whistles such as promo codes.
Excellent. So, what can the user expect when they once they get Wisest in their hands? What is it that a user or an investor can expect to see?
Of course. Well, the interesting part about Wisest, of course, is once you download the app, you are welcomed into a trading experience or an investing experience, which is going to be significantly different than maybe something you've done on Robinhood.
Right.
And so the most novel part of our application, of course, is the opportunity to invest with individual financial experts. So when you are onboarded onto the Wisest platform, we collect all the typical financial information which is required by the SEC and other regulators, just to make sure you are who you say you are. We don't get any trouble laundering money for people we shouldn't. Uh, and so once you've actually onboarded through a rather normal fintech process, the real novel part of the Wisest application is where you start entering the platform and trading. So the onboarding is something that shouldn't be intimidating, something you should be used to if you use
Mhm.
other financial applications. But then once you get into the app, the first thing we'll do is we'll welcome you to Wisest and invite you to build a team. So whereas you may download an app like Robinhood, and the first thing you'll maybe be prompted to do is pick a stock or perform a trade, that's obviously where a lot of people immediately begin feeling intimidated. They don't know which stocks to pick. Maybe they find investing complicated or intimidating. Some people just feel like they want to have a financial expert at their disposal to walk them through the investment process. And so, right out the gate, the very first thing we invite you to do, instead of having to pick these stocks by yourself, is we say, "Hey, take a look at some of our experts on the platform." And once you have the chance to do that, you can browse profiles, find experts that you like, take a look at the different kinds of posts they've been writing, perhaps follow them before you decide to invest. And then once you do decide to invest, you can keep track of their portfolio and their performance and write reviews for how they're doing.
Sweet. Is there any minimums or anything that I should be? How much do I need to get started with Wisest?
Absolutely. Well, the first thing to say is that we don't really enforce something like an investment minimum. So you're not going to get onto the platform and immediately be blocked unless you invest a certain amount of funds. We recognize that not everyone is ready to get started with investing in a new platform, especially a new product, until they've had the chance to play around with it. And so you can actually log into Wisest without having added too many funds, and you'll still have the chance to follow experts without having to put money on the line just yet. So if
Mhm.
you want to just explore the platform, see things like our news feed, follow some of those experts, as well as explore some of the other functionality, such as our wisdom section, where we teach you a little bit about financial literacy, you can do all of that without there being any enforced minimum whatsoever. That being said, once you have decided to add funds, different experts have portfolios that have different holdings, of course.
Right.
So one expert's portfolio is going to differ from another's, and each expert might have a variety of holdings. Some of them might have many holdings, up to 50 or something like that. And some of them might have a more straightforward portfolio that only has maybe 8 to 12 holdings that they're really confident about. And depending on the number of those holdings in their particular portfolio, we offer something like a suggested minimum. And the reason for that is because Wisest doesn't want to waste your money on paying for things like taxes or high numbers of churn trades. And so what we do is we provide a suggested minimum. And what that will do is it will say, hey, if there's a trade that's below $5, why don't you go ahead and wait on performing that trade? And so if you have a large amount of money invested on the platform, and by large, I mean anything more than a few $100s, then these suggested minimums you probably won't encounter.
Okay.
But if you want to just get started with a smaller amount on the platform, then we will actually allow you to trade anyone you'd like. It's just that we will also provide you some optimization in terms of the number of trades you're performing.
Good to know. So I can walk in with $100 to $200 to try it out. Select an advisor that I've been following for a week or two, replicate their portfolio, and Wisest will take care of the rest.
That's exactly right. Couldn't have said it better myself, Laz.
Sounds exciting. Is this something that we can take a look at and see what what the user will experience once they invested a couple into the
Of
funds?
course, of
Excellent.
course. Let's take a look at the Wisest platform. So I'm going to begin sharing my screen.
Okay. And by the way, this is available for Google App Store and the Apple App Store as well, right?
That's exactly right. We are available both in the App Store and in the Google Play Store.
Great.
Can you go ahead and see my screen, Laz?
Can see it.
Excellent. Well, as you can see here, I'm running a simulator on my desktop. That's just so everyone can see for the purposes of this webinar. And here you can see that I've created a new account that has about $100 in it. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk through some of the basic functions of the Wisest platform. Again, what you're seeing here is the desktop environment. So when you download the app on your phone, you'll have even more information that's being loaded from production. But this will allow us to walk through this demo in a very straightforward manner. So let's talk about what we see right here. This is the Wizest dashboard. So this is exactly what you'll see every time you log in to Wizest for the very first time. It tells you rudimentary things like, hey, what's my account balance? Hey, what's my performance this month, over the last 3 months, the year, 5-year period? And then you can start seeing down at the bottom, we have some different views here. With the dashboard here, you have the opportunity to inspect your team in a few different UIs. The first is the bubbles view. Here we can see that I've decided to invest my account primarily with one expert.
Okay.
If I had invested with multiple experts on my team, I would see multiple bubbles here. But we can see that most of my funds are invested with an advisor named Gregory. And we can see based on the color of his bubble, as well as the percentage there, how he's doing for the month. We can go ahead and look at the 3-month period. If we go to the 5-year period, Gregory is up 23%. But we also have a leaderboard functionality that will rank Gregory based on his performance. We can see here that he has 23.74%. We can also, again, move to those other time spans and see how he's been doing. In the production version of Wizest, you'll actually see this leaderboard populated with several different experts. Some of them will be on your team. Some of them will just be available for you to trade on the platform. And so you can see here that you have the leaderboard view, the bubbles view, and the graph view of your account balance all on the first dashboard.
So the dashboard will show my investment portfolio along with the advisors that I've replicated their portfolios. Is that
That's
correct?
exactly right. That's exactly right. So this
And how does that
dashboard graph
differ
here, you
from
can
the
see is,
leaderboard?
I'm sorry?
How does that differ from the leaderboard? Is the leaderboard showing everyone in my portfolio, or is it showing every investor available to me?
That's a great question. So of course, when you log in for the first time, what you're seeing here with this flat account balance is a new account.
Okay.
So here, this is showing basically that your account has, for the most part, remained unchanged because we just opened it for this demo. And we can see that the amount we've invested hasn't really gone up or down. So that's why it's flat. It's also a new account, so you don't have a lot of performance history just yet. But the point is that this dashboard graph here displays the actual performance of your account. So if we have deposits and withdrawals, you'll see this line go up and down. You'll also see investment gains and investment losses. When you look at the bubbles view here, what you're seeing is strictly experts that you have chosen to invest in that are part of your investment team. And here we can see that this account has primarily been assigned to Gregory. So this view differs from the leaderboard view in the sense that the leaderboard view will actually display all of the different experts that are available on the Wisest platform, whereas the bubbles view just shows your particular team, and the graph view actually just shows your account balance. So we have 3 quick UIs here to see different parts of the platform.
Interesting. So will the advisors or the expert portfolios differ based on their strategy? So if we were to have a 5-year portfolio will perform different than a 3-month portfolio. Is that something that as an investor I should be looking out for?
That's exactly right. So let's go and see how we would even invest with someone like Gregory. And that is, like I was saying before, maybe the most interesting and novel part of the Wisest platform. If we go to the Wisest team builder, we can see that I've decided to allocate 75% of this account to Gregory. We have the opportunity to add him or remove him from our team. As you can see, I've chosen to add him and again allocate about 75%, leaving 25% in cash. Now, how did I make the decision to invest in Gregory last? Well, I'll tell you what I did. I viewed his profile and I decided whether or not his bio and investment strategy were aligned with my own. And so here we can see in the investment profile that we see Gregory's profile picture, of course. We can see his star reviews, his 1 to 5 star return score, and his 1 to 5 star risk score. The risk score is very important in Wisest. We want to make sure that we're aligning your investment risk with Gregory's portfolio risk. And here, if we click on that icon, we can get a little bit more information about exactly what that risk methodology means. 1 out of 5 is how we simplify it for you, but you probably want to know how that corresponds to the underlying portfolio. And here you have that information.
Very interesting. So we can see his risk, and if it matches to your risk tolerance, then it's almost like a perfect match at that point, right? If
It's a good fit for me.
okay,
So if I decide I want to invest in Gregory, I have the option to do that, and I've done that already with this particular account. We can see his performance before choosing to invest in him. So I can go ahead and scroll through his performance of the last 5 years. And then Gregory is also going to have the opportunity to write posts to his followers and investors. And as you can see, now that we've invested in Gregory, automatically his posts will populate our feed here. So here on the Wisest platform, we also have an activity feed and a news feed. The activity feed will display different news stories that you'll have the opportunity to link to, select, will open in your mobile browser, that will display different news stories about the different symbols in the account you've invested in. So if Gregory is invested in Apple, for example, we'll start seeing some Apple news stories here for you to learn a little bit more about the underlying holdings in your portfolio. The other thing we can see is the activity feed. This is where Gregory has the chance to tell his different followers or investors a little bit about what he's been up to. We can see that he's introduced his portfolio strategy, talking a little bit about that, and also shared a bio about himself. But he also will make updates when he makes changes to the portfolio, informing you about what he's doing. And those will appear here. In fact, every expert that you've invested in on the Wisest platform has their activity aggregated to this single feed. So you have one area where you can come in and see the different posts made by the different experts you're following.
very cool. So so if I understand this correctly, if I were to add multiple advisors, I have the ability as a user to see the transactions that are being made, get news on the companies that they've invested in. How does that benefit me as a user? Like, what's the value add for me to see some of that information?
That's a great question. Well, of course, if you're using Wisest and you're interested in learning about investing, you're of course going to be curious about the different holdings that are in your portfolio. While Gregory is handling that for you, you obviously want to know whether or not changes in the market might be affecting your portfolio. So you have the chance to review news related items that pertain directly to your own financial holdings through Gregory. And then Gregory has the opportunity to shepherd you through these different changes in the market and also tell you a little bit about the different strategic moves he's making.
So with Gregory making these changes, is there anything that I need to do on my side? Like, do I need to come in here and start selling if I were to see Greg making any sales, or if I need to start buying if I see Gregory making any acquisitions?
That's a great question. So it's a fully managed experience. Gregory is going to be managing the 75% of funds we've allocated to him. And we can see here that if we decide that we're very confident in the things that Gregory's doing with our portfolio, maybe he's been writing some posts that we feel really good about or that are encouraging. Well, then we have the opportunity to actually update our team here by adding additional funds to Gregory. We can see that my team always has to add up to 100% before I
Mhm.
can make a trade. But let's just say I'm really confident about what Gregory's been doing and I want to update him to 90% of my allocation. Well, here, now that that's added up to 100, I can confirm and trade this. I'll have a confirmation screen that says I'm acknowledging this. And then when I hit confirm, my portfolio will be updated, and we can now see that Gregory now comprises 90% of this account holding. But you don't have to do that because Gregory is constantly managing those underlying funds. He's managing that $89 on this account. So he's taking care of all the trades, so you don't have to. But if you feel really good about Gregory, or if you don't feel so good about him, you also have the chance to update your team.
So I can update this and change the amount I invest in each portfolio from from this screen here, from the team builder. Is that how that works?
That's exactly right. And so, in fact, if I want to clear house and
Hmm.
basically rebuild my team, what you'll see here is if we X on Gregory and remove him from our team, that he'll go down here into the experts pool. Now, in the production version of Wizest, if you download the app today, you'll see there's a handful of experts for you to add here. And so when you can add Gregory back to your team, but you also have the chance to remove him. And here you have the opportunity to add multiple experts, and then you can allocate different amounts to each.
Very interesting. What are some of the best practices, or what are some of the recommendations when looking for experts to invest in?
So some of the different information we provided here with our experts is tailored to try and answer that question. The first thing is obviously you want to invest with an expert that you like. So that's an expert that you have the chance to look at their profile and you feel a connection to. You feel like their profile picture is encouraging, is someone that you would trust with your money. You also want to make sure that your risk allocation is aligned. Other reasons why you might want to invest with Gregory include simple things like maybe he went to your alma mater, but also maybe he's writing posts that you're interested in that you find engaging, which is why we give you that chance to follow him before you decide to invest.
Is there a chance for me to review the companies he's investing in, or what makes up his portfolio that I can?
That's exactly right. So within Gregory's profile, you have the option to look at a few things before you decide to invest. So in addition to following him and looking at his actual performance, here you can see that because this is a test portfolio for a demo, you'll notice that his portfolio is quite limited. But
Mhm.
here we can see that in this demo portfolio, you have the option to peruse all the underlying holdings for each different expert. Here we can see that as a demo portfolio, this is very simple. It just has Apple and cash. But here you'd be able to see all the different holdings within Gregory's account. Moreover, if we scroll over one more time, we can see some of the different posts that Gregory's been making within his profile. So without even following him or investing in him, we can get a chance to look at those posts he's been making. We can see the underlying portfolio. We can see the performance of that portfolio, all to supplement the profile that Gregory has here telling us about himself. And we can see the reviews, the return, and the risk score.
Very cool. So we can see what they invest in. We can see what their what their risk performance is. We have historical data to show how far 5 years back, right? Like the performance over the past 5 years, and they're also providing us with updates.
That's
Is
exactly right. It's a comprehensive investment experience, a comprehensive financial management experience.
Okay. So how do we know that a wisest expert is an expert? Besides reviewing their performance history and their bio, how do we know who some of these experts are?
That's a great question, Laz. So we don't just let anyone into the expert pool here. Everyone that you're going to be seeing in the expert pool, allowing you to build your team, is really people that have been vetted internally at Wisest. So in addition to having a professional financial advisory license, either a Series 65, Series 66, Series 7, or perhaps a CFA, these different experts have also been vetted by our head of investments, and each of their portfolios have been calibrated to different risk scores. So, as we talked about before, that risk score is very special, and we use it to align your risk as an investor with this risk of the expert. And so, you can be assured that all the different risk, return, and reviews that are available here on Wisest are for experts that are professionals, and that those have been calculated by financial experts themselves.
Very interesting. So as a user, you're almost aligning my risk performance or my risk tolerance to portfolios that match that. So if I'm not risk adverse, if I'm not a fan of like having a ton of risk, am I going to see portfolios that can, crash in a day or two, or am I going to see portfolios that match more or less what my financial goals are?
We want to give you the opportunity to invest in a variety of portfolios at Wisest, just like you would download other fintech products and have the opportunity to invest in high growth stocks or something safe like bonds. We have different expert profiles on the platform that are curated to different investment goals. So some experts are investing in strategies where they're targeting those high growth stocks. Other investors are targeting really income funds and bonds. And so there's a diversity of different experts and strategies on the platform. And by looking at these experts and viewing their strategies and seeing their associated risk scores, we can learn a little bit about what they're doing. If we take a look at Gregory's particular posts here, we can see he's telling you a little bit about his particular strategy for this portfolio. We can see that he has a strategy called sector rotation, where he's telling you a little bit about what he's doing and how this might correlate to what you're interested in as an investor.
This sounds great, Billy. So as a user, it's almost like you have guardrails up to protect me from myself and taking bad financial advice that I may get on social media or a friend at a holiday party. So you're basically showing me portfolios that may match to what my financial goals are, and the expert is going to give me insight as to how some of those trades are happening, and they get to do it for me without me having to buy or sell anything. We're just saying how much of it we want allocated to this portfolio.
That's exactly right, Laz.
Very cool. So I'm curious. I mean, this sounds great. How do I go about signing up? What's the sign up process like? What do I need at the time of signing up?
Well, why don't we review the onboarding process for a new user of the Wisest platform? You can see directly for yourself what you would be getting into if you decide to sign up.
Excellent.
But before we do that, Laz, I want to make sure that we have the chance to review some of the other features that are on the platform. So,
Yeah.
in addition to learning directly from Gregory or anyone else you've chosen to invest in, we have the wisdom section here. And this will also provide you some of those guardrails you were talking about. Here, we're posting different content written by financial experts within Wisest, telling you a little bit about keys to planning your financial future, the way you can manage risk in your portfolio, as well as other aspects of the financial markets, such as maybe some of these intimidating terms like SPACs, which have been thrown around a lot lately, investing books and podcasts. So here you have content to supplement what you're getting in your activity feed. And this is more deep dive stuff where you have the chance to actually dig in and view a little bit about these different tools.
So it's content for me to read on my own and just understand better, get a better idea of how the financial world works, and know what kind of trades are taking place on my behalf.
That's exactly right. You can think of it as a generic or supplemental set of information, which you can refer to whenever you're curious, maybe about something that one of your experts is doing.
Okay.
While most of your financial experts on your team are writing posts to their investors, knowing that they should be trying to limit their jargon or what have you, if there's something that comes up that you want to learn more about, if you go over to the wisdom section, there's a good chance that there's something here for you to dig in and get more information.
Interesting.
In addition, Laz, there's a few other features here on the platform. Of course, we want to hear directly from you, so you have the chance to give feedback directly to the Wisest team. You also have the chance to invite friends to the platform using a very simple share feature. You can review these experts one by one and provide those different reviews that we saw the star ratings for on the investor profile. You can add promo codes. So some of these unlock new features within Wisest or specialty promotions.
Hmm.
You also have the chance to see the different statements that are associated with your account. Just like any other trading platform, you'll have generated trade confirmations, and those will be provided here and mailed to you as well if you'd like. Last but not least, you need a way to add and withdraw funds from the platform. And so you can see that we had that $100 allocated to this demo account. And we can also add funds and withdraw funds from the Simple Manage Funds interface, which actually appears in several places in the platform. We see it from the wallet icon here as well. But let's go ahead and get back to your original question, Laz. Log out and show you what you have to do to get started. So when I go to the account screen, I'll have the chance to actually log out of my investor account. And let's go ahead and do that just so we have the chance to sign up again. Any questions?
No, I think this is going to be really beneficial to understand what we need to sign up, and like you said, we can manage our funds from multiple places. I'm excited to see what it looks like and get started with Wizest.
Of course. So let's take a look at that onboarding flow. So signing up as a new user always begins the same way. We've all done it. Let's go ahead and create a new account. I'm going to go ahead and create just a dummy account here for the purposes of our demo. But something to mention is that when you are onboarding to Wizest for the first time, you should probably use your authentic identity details. And the reason why is because Wizest cannot technically support test accounts in the sense that each of the accounts that we create in production does have to go through KYC onboarding. What we mean by that is a special banking term called Know Your Customer, which means that when we provide this data securely, it also has to be verified that this information does correspond to you, and that's no one stealing your identity or something like that. So in addition to creating an account, I'll get a confirmation code on my phone. Here I
As
can
you're
see it's
getting that
coming through.
confirmation code, you mentioned KYC as a banking term. Is that something that you normally have to do when you open a traditional bank account, like a checking account, a savings account at one of these bigger banks? Is that the same process?
Absolutely.
Okay.
All different investment trading platforms and financial institutions must operate under similar regulations where they have to collect a certain amount of information about you as a customer to make sure that you are who you say you are. And these are rules that are in place to make sure that you're protected as a customer, that no one steals your identity, and also to make sure that bad actors can't infiltrate the financial system. But what it means for you is straightforward. Just that you have to provide all this information, just ensure that it's accurate.
Okay.
So here we have a pre-populated address. Some of the other details which have been loaded into this dummy account are already saved. But we can see that once we do this, we have to enter different information such as our annual income, net worth, how much you can invest in the platform. Those are required by our custodian broker dealer, but you don't necessarily need to worry about them being saved anywhere that would be accessible. So a lot of your sensitive financial information in this onboarding flow is encrypted, and much of it is not saved directly by Wizest itself. So you don't have to worry about any of this information getting in the wrong hands. In addition to asking for rudimentary information about your location, as well as the funds that you might be adding to the platform, we ask whether or not any of these special circumstances apply to you. These are a regulatory requirement, and in most cases, they won't apply. But they ask things such as whether or not you're related to anyone that happens to run a stock exchange,
Hmm.
or whether or not you're related to someone that owns a publicly traded company.
Okay. So these are just standard routine questions as if I were to open a bank account or a trading account on any trading platform.
That's
Nothing out of
exactly
the
right.
ordinary.
Nothing out of the ordinary, and we don't ask you for any additional information beyond what we have to. So we want to make onboarding as easy as possible, and so we've tried to reduce the number of questions that you have to complete for these questionnaires, which can sometimes be rather long-winded, but again, are often designed to try and protect you as the end customer.
Okay. What's this investment profile? How does this work?
Yeah. So just like we were talking about with the risk scores that we were seeing with different experts on the platform, this is maybe the most key part of the onboarding flow. Here's where we collect information about your own investment appetite. And that information pertains to things like your willingness to take short-term risks, long-term risks, how liquid you would like your funds to be, how often you would like to make deposits and withdrawals. We call it your investment profile. And it's how we generate that risk score that we correlate your own investment appetite with those different experts on the platform.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so the questions are very straightforward. And we also provide some additional descriptions in case you have any confusion about what we're trying to get at. So when you see what is your investing experience, you can see that we're talking about learning, whether or not you have a lot of experience. We're just trying to get a gauge for how familiar you are, maybe with the markets. In addition, we want to know what your investment goal is. You might have a conservative investment goal if you're aiming for retirement, or if you're typically on the younger side of the investment journey. A lot of people that have a long investment horizon are looking for growth stocks. We can see here that exact question, what is your time horizon for investing? And so again, a lot of these are rather straightforward. We also ask your risk tolerance and how quickly you need your funds to be accessible. Then we also have some questions about your tolerance for risk overall, such as how comfortable you are with market swings, market dips, long-term and short-term.
Is this is great. So this sounds like you're getting to know the user, and I think along the way help the user identify what it is that they're comfortable with or what they want to get out of investing. Now, how will that benefit me in the sense of portfolios that I can see or my investment strategy?
It's a great question. So at the end of all this, we generate a risk score and assign it to your profile. You also have the chance to update these in the account settings that we were just viewing when we logged out. In those account settings, you'll be able to answer these questions again. But the point is that they correlate to this risk score that's being created as you answer all these questions. That risk score is a number between 1 and 5,
Hmm.
and we use it to try and match you with other experts on the platform that happen to land in your same sweet spot. So if
Is,
you have a risk score around 3, we're going to show you experts first, which also have a risk score of 3.
is that where we were seeing Greg's risk score, and based off of that, we were able to have him as one of the experts available for us? Was that what that was?
That's right. And again, on the production version of Wizest, there are several experts on the platform, and you have the chance to invest with them all. So if you decide, despite these questions, that you do want to go for a growth portfolio, maybe because you really like that expert, and maybe it wasn't something you were expecting before, but hey, you know, Laz, the terrific financial expert, has talked you into it because he has a great investment strategy.
Okay.
If that's something that happens, we won't block you from investing with different experts. But yes, we are going to match you with experts that we think are a good fit for you first,
Excellent. Okay.
almost like a dating app. The last parts of the onboarding experience ask you about rudimentary defaults that are typically applied to investing accounts. Similar to the question about disclosures, many of these are not going to apply to most people in most cases. For example, we typically default all of these to what most people tend to use for their investing accounts. We ask you questions about whether or not you would like, when we sell holdings in your portfolio, for you to keep them in that portfolio to invest again, or if we send them directly to your bank. Most people want to keep their funds after selling their holdings and then invest again, but we give you that option here to make a different default. For most people, we suggest that you adhere to these defaults, but you also have the chance to change them in the account settings as well.
So these are best practices or
Last but
other
not least, we are
defaults, right?
required from a regulatory standpoint to ask you if you'd like to add a trusted contact. And this will give you the option to maybe add someone to your account, which would be contacted during an emergency. So this is someone maybe like a friend or a family member that you can rely on to troubleshoot issues that might arise with your account if you were ever any distressing circumstances. Just a safety precaution.
Okay. You back? You there? I think you're on mute, sir.